Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys can hear me. Good morning to you, Al. Beaming live from the beautiful Napa Valley. Markets just opened. We'll review what's happened in a moment. Let's keep an eye on the upper right-hand corner chart, the Dow E-mini. No setups yet, but there should be one shortly. It was a long trade on the pound Aussie, which went up and hit its target, its minimum target, 11 pips. And then stopped out for break even. So that one's finished. Good morning, Gavin. Good morning, Miles. Okay, good. Assuming you guys can all hear me. That's great. Very active energy markets this morning. Crude oil finishing with Spotlight. We'll look at that in a moment. And a Catapult also. Some really great short trades. Delivered the goods. We'll take a peek at that as well. I've got a Catapult heating oil here, but I want to scoot this over and look at the Spotlight unleaded. There's a short now on, that went really fast. You can still grab it, short at 334 on the YM. And that's targeting 316, and the stop is up at 58. You may want to move that to 62. I realize that's a 4-tick adjustment, but it might help to get it above that spike. Hopefully it gets down to target 1. It's trying to make new lows here. Definitely finding support right in this area. So money management is at 318. It got as low as 323, so 5 points shy of money management, and then kind of bounced off the bottom here, and now is testing. This can go either way, really. And you can see the price action up, down, up, down, up, down. So this can go down, it can go up, anything can happen, but that is the first trade of the morning for the YM. Good morning, Donald, Armando, Pamela, Dan. Yeah, Kevin might have a different setup on his chart or not have it on his chart. I can only show you what I got on my chart. So you can see the battle taking place right in here. And again, it may be prudent to push that stop up above. That may or may not help. 4-tick adjustment up to 62 on the stop instead of, 58? Yeah. Keep an eye on that. That one is, again, back to its entry. And it'll be interesting to see how this resolves. But support holding, yeah, looks like it wants to go up. So it just hit the unadjusted stop. If anyone is in that trade and made the adjustment, you're still breathing. Whoops, right about there. And reduce this up to the upper corner. We'll keep an eye on what happens. course, counter up. It looks like it stopped out and hit the adjusted stop as well. So just couldn't get past, and now it's coming down again. So that first trade, unfortunately, losing on the YM. Let's just take a quick look at soybeans while we're here. Soybeans with Counterpunch Trader. Really small little trade right here, this green trade. Definitely triggering in and hitting its targets. Minimum targets. I mean, you really want to go to target 2, only 7 ticks. Definitely hit it. And then would have come down and stop out at break even. So a minimal trade, but that's what the market wants to give today. But that one finished really fast. There's a short on the YM again, trying to head lower now. 337 is the entry. The stop is at 666. Your target is 314, 302, and beyond. And having a hard time with the support down in here, but maybe it'll punch through. Definitely a tight range-bound market since opening 6 minutes ago. So first you had your exhaustion off the blue line here. Now you've got it off the yellow line and still unable to get through support. So could be bottoming out, or just we could see a capitulation and a breakthrough, but it looks like support's holding and it wants to go higher. Market is definitely overbought, or oversold. I mean, it's oversold, but we haven't really seen any long setups other than the green one that never triggered in. So we got some push me, pull me, fighting tug of war going on in here. Looking at unleaded gas on Spotlight. Remember, this one starts right at 9. Let's take a look. There it is. So this one's one and done. Got short at 9:02. Hit target 1. Missed target 2 by a hair, and then came up and stopped out. But there's your one and done trade. Your target 1 good for 51 ticks. So this one finishing with its first trade this morning. And again, a stop out on the YM. The YM definitely difficult this morning. Crude oil also starting at 9 with Spotlight. You got a long here. It's a tough call if you want to adjust around the 50 moving average or not. It's one of those, you have to decide if you're willing to make a 4-tick adjustment. And if so, then you would do it pretty much all the time. And I don't like making 4-tick adjustments. It would have pushed it from 61 up to 65 because the line's on 64. So this is one of those things where you kind of stylistically have to decide with your trade planning, how large of an adjustment are you willing to make? And I don't like making those adjustments. So for me, I would have ended up being a loser. But I could see the argument. I mean, if the trade's large enough, but if you're only going to target 1 of 14 ticks and you make a 4-tick adjustment, that's a big chunk of percentage off that reward. So yeah, I'd want to see probably a larger setup to make that kind of adjustment. But, some of you are going to make that, and it'll pay off sometimes like it would have here. So then a stop and reverse to 47. If you got long here, and that one came down and hit all its targets. And so hopefully, even if you're losing on this trade, you're winning nicely on this trade. And hopefully you're done with these two trades. Not a bad sequence. Yeah, hey, Ron, you can hear me now, though. Yes, good morning to you, by the way. So as you know, crude oil obviously selling off. It's down over $1.14, 1.7, almost 1.65%, and it's the short trades that have been making the money. There was this one loser again here, but then you had another winner, and another winner. The bigger trades to the downside. So hopefully, plenty of opportunity to get positive on this session. And crude oil should be finished. And the next session, of course, at 10:30, the crude oil report, which we will do. This is a good time to ask any questions on any market, any platform or strategy that you're trading. And if you wouldn't mind, please hitting the like button as usual. Quick look at Catapult as well. You can see the markets coming off. Catapult also down, or unleaded, I should say, down 1.66%. So just starting at 8:45, which is when this plan basically begins, you have a trade that comes down and hits its scalp target, right? Target 3, then comes up and stops out. You could be one and done. Then you have a second trade that comes up and hits its target 1. That one comes down and stops out, break even or close to it, maybe a few ticks negative after some slippage and stuff. And then you get this trade, and here's your classic scalp and run, hitting its scalp targets and running to the big, probably a triple digit winner. Let's just take a look. That goes from 13.17 to 12.20. Yeah, I mean, what's that? 97 ticks, almost a triple digit winner. Then another one that's a break even. There's a losing trade, but then that flips over to another scalp and run, and that one's probably a triple digit. Looks like there's plenty of opportunities to make money here with Catapult unleaded. 1,200 down to 1057. So that's like 140, what's that, 143 ticks on the runner. So unleaded gas. And it continues to do well. I mean, there's another break even. Here's a scalp that hits targets 3 and 4 where the stop holds. Here's another one that scalps its 3 and 4, then a loser. So just performing really, really well. Plenty of opportunity there to make your daily goals. Still waiting for another setup on the Dowie Mini. That's been a troublesome market, really difficult because look at how it finally broke through support but didn't get very far. This market may be, poised to rally unless it continues reaching lower, but it kind of cracked through the floor with no follow through. So the failure to get lower could lead to a strong move higher. We'll see. Jury's still out on that. Yeah, hey, Ed, that's a good point. I mean, it's certainly behaving in a crappy way, but one of the things we've learned over the years, first of all, we're doing short-term trades, right? So while what you're saying is true in the big picture, there could still be some nice trades to be had today, because usually and this isn't always the case, so it's usually when the market trades tightly to begin with, it opens up slightly later in the session. And so after a couple losers in a row on the YM and the failure to get lower, we've seen how that could set up a strong move in the opposite direction, and that could be a good trade opportunity, even though what you say is true. And also, don't forget, tomorrow is non-farm payroll, and that should be a pretty important report coming out. It is an important report. It's indicating all kinds of things. But anyway, without trying to think too hard on it, that's the next trade, 341. It's a long trade. You want to adjust around the tip on that spike on the left and put your entry in at either 344 or 346 even. It just hit 344 and it just hit 346. So here's your next trade, just following the trade plan. Remember, the failure to follow through after breaking through support, that often sets up a strong move in the opposite direction. There is a lot of resistance up in here, obviously, trading back into its range. You can see that resistance. We'll see what happens. That is the next trade. We'll definitely keep an eye on it. The first two losing, and so, getting three losers in a row is not very common, but it could happen. Ed does bring up a good point as far as the holidays coming up, but sometimes lower volume, if indeed we have lower volume, I didn't even look at the volume, but sometimes lower volume can lead to exaggerated moves as well. Let's take a quick look at heating oil. Heating oil has not been as easy as unleaded, although it has, the automation's on, and the automation is based on the close of the bar, so it's not entirely accurate to the way you might trade this. This one hit its break even, the stop moved down, but the automation won't recognize it till after the bar closes. That's in essence a break-even trade. That's a break-even trade, even though it then went up and hit all its targets, but still stopped out first. Then a losing trade, and then a break-even trade. So heating oil, not as robust and easy because it started later. If it was starting earlier, the way unleaded gas did, it may have caught, it would have for sure caught these down moves. It just depends on one's trade plan. I'm trying to mix it up. If we have a start time earlier on unleaded, I wanted a slightly later start time for heating oil, because you can't really do both at the same time. It'd be very difficult to trade them both efficiently and effectively. So then you have a possible stop and reverse if you got long on the YM, but you have to adjust that down to 17. Our stop and reverse adjustment, trying to protect the original long trade, and that adjustment holds because it gets down to 18, not 17. So if you're trading the YM, following the trade plan rules, and what I always teach about stop and reverse maneuvers, you would know to make that 2-tick adjustment, and you'd still be long. The idea with the stop and reverse is you want to try to protect your original trade and stay in that trade, but you need to be willing to flip over to the new setup in the opposite direction if the price action tells you to do so. And in this case, it may still do that. So a reversing trade at 317, and that's hard because the low of the day is right here at 11. So definitely a difficult market because you're trading with the lows of the day here. It could be bottoming out. It did not follow through after making lows, but it may be still trying to test those lows. So worst case scenario is it could come down and get you short and then long again. Now, if this long entry gets touched, I would cancel the short reversal. This is tricky. Anytime you're in up, down, tight range, consolidation, bottoming, perhaps, it makes it very difficult. But the short trade is still valid. It has not yet canceled. And it could trigger in. If the new long trade triggers in, I would use that as a reason to cancel the short trade. You could see it's unable to make new lows, and the jury's still out on this trade. It's certainly not an easy market this morning. All right, so the stop and reverse cancels. You should still be in the original blue trade. And even if you're not, just theoretically following along. Going to have a hard time breaking through that resistance overhead. It's got that 50 moving average. It's got all that consolidation from when the market opened this morning. It's just a messy looking, awful chart. So Ed might be onto something, but we can't overthink things. If you're committed to a trade plan, sometimes the ugliest, most awkward trades are the big winners. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. All right, so if you're just joining us, good morning to you. I do see the attendance going up, so welcome, welcome. We've kind of gone through a number of charts and examples with the Spotlight Master Suite, Counterpunch Trader, Catapult Trader. This Friday is the Catapult Advanced Gold Boot Camp regarding the trade assist automation for all the catapults. Always love those boot camps. Okay, that entry, that long entry triggered in, right? So the short stop and reversal should be canceled on the yellow trade. Should still be long on the original blue trade there. And hopefully you're not chewing your nails down too far. Another announcement is that a week from this Friday will be the Catapult Grains Boot Camp. Okay, the stop on the blue trade again, if you missed it, is at 309. And this market may make new lows here. And it did just hit 309. So that's the third loss in a row, and probably, my guess is the next trade will win because 4 losses in a row is very rare, although it can happen. But still, crappy session for the YM this morning. It's always a troubled child. And out of all these charts, rarely do you get every single one hitting on all cylinders. There's always going to be one that's going to be an issue. This morning, it's the YM. Another announcement is that tomorrow the room will be closed. John is traveling. 25th anniversary for John, so a well-deserved holiday for him and his lovely wife. And he'll be back on Thursday, September 16th. All right, so no Tuesday and Thursday session until then. And in case you forgot or you didn't hear the news, I will also be out on the week of the 13th, so Monday the 13th and Wednesday the 15th. The only session that week will be when John comes back on Thursday the 16th. So please make note of that, because if you try to show up, well, you won't even see an ability to, because we're not going to schedule sessions on the 13th, 14th, or 15th. So that's that. And of course, Monday the 6th, no session. That's Labor Day. So after today, I won't see you guys until Wednesday the 8th. And then I won't see you guys again until Monday the 20th, unless you're doing one of the boot camps or both boot camps. One or both. And in about 21 minutes, I'll be shutting this room down and reopening it shortly thereafter to trade the crude oil inventory report with you guys. So I'll close this down and then reopen a new session shortly after, a few minutes later. And you guys can just jump back in and we'll do the crude oil report. All right, so I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. A short on the YM if anyone's interested. Continues to make new lows there. 35, 297, targeting 258, 238, 217, and 197 with the stop at 342. The odds go up after 3 losses in a row, but the way this market is trading, it just could be one of those days where it's just terribly out of sync. Pamela, yes, you are a VIP member, so you are in. Did you receive the invite? I did send out the login link to all VIP members. If that is you, please let me know. You should have received it. And if not, you could reach me at troy@backpacktrader.com, and I'll make sure you get it. Same with the grains next week. You would have that as well. The VIP membership is a pretty cool deal. It gets you everything, all my stuff, past, present, and future. The energies continue to sell off. Crude oil down like 2% now. Ron, yeah, there is. Catapult grains will require the Catapult grains indicator set, but they're not available until the boot camp. Typically, with Catapult, the indicators become available. I try to make them available the day before. So, next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, the grains indicators will be available. As well as the trade assist indicators. Those will be available for grains for anyone who's a advanced gold member or a VIP member. VIP platinum member, I should say. Which you are. So you will get those too. Pretty big setup on crude. You could see the ugliness of these chart patterns, and yet all the trades are kind of hitting, most of them. Unlike the YM, crude oil not looking very attractive either. It's kind of a crappy pattern, but the setups are in sync. They're all working pretty much. This one off the blue line missed its mark because we have a minimum 10 tick. So that one missed, but I mean, you can see how messy this chart is. It's the trades off the dark blue line seem to be the ones that aren't really working so well. But the thing is, this one already won. It's already done, so you shouldn't even be messing with it now anyway. It already hit its goals with those first two trades. Yeah, Craig, definitely I record the boot camps. I don't know if you saw the email I sent you yesterday, because you've got a number of emails and I never know which one to use to reach out to you. But I did send you an email, and hopefully you find it and then get back to me on it. I don't remember which email I used. It was one of them. Great, thank you. Perfect. So we kind of covered just about everything this morning so far. If anybody is interested in knowing anything about anything, this is your time to ask. We're going to end this session in a little while. Then I can get set up for the crude oil report and jump back in. So I'll leave this open for a few minutes longer. Give you guys a chance to think of any questions you might have. Just curious, we did go over soybeans with Counterpunch this morning. Had this small little trade here, which actually, I kind of miscalled this because the trade that triggered in was not the small green trade, it was the white trade. The white trade was actually at 8:31. This starts at 8:30. And that one triggered in before the green trade. I didn't even notice until I saw the trailing stop with the white, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. So that was actually the trade that happened. We do have these additional supplemental setups that we can use in case that happens first or it comes at the start time. But the white trade actually is the one that triggered in, and that one went up and hit all three targets for a much more attractive trade. 8 points, 3.25 points, 4.5 points. Trades like the ES, right? $50 per point, $12.50 per tick. And that one came up. And this has been a successful trade plan for many years, and it often finishes very quickly. And this is Counterpunch Trader, of course. Catapult Grains will handle a market like this totally differently. It'll do it in the Catapult style. And of course, that is currently the boot camp that I've been promoting that's happening a week from this Friday. And I've got a couple webinars, another one tomorrow. I did one last night regarding the Catapult Grains. So I got 2 boot camps. I'm excited about both of them. This Friday, the Advanced Trade Assist Automation boot camp for all catapults, and then Catapult Grains the following Friday. And then I will be traveling. All right, so I don't see any more questions. Please hit the like button. I really appreciate it when you do. It means a lot to me. It means I'm not straining my throat and voice for no reason. And I'll be back in here in a few minutes to do the crude oil report with you. So I'm about ready to shut it down. And in about, 15 minutes or so, I'll be right back in for the next session. Thanks for joining me, guys. Hope to see you in a few minutes. Thank you, Mary Jean. Love you too.